that we are going to learn about is DNA profiling. Alright guys, this is very very important. You'll always find one question about DNA profiling in your exam, and that might consist of 10 to 15 marks, and you don't want to lose it. Okay, so let's start by defining it. What is DNA profiling? So DNA profiling is a way to identify people using their unique DNA. So let me explain this to you. So when some criminal activities happen, how do people how do detectives or police or the police officers identify the criminals? They basically identify them using their DNA. Okay, an example would be getting a paternity test to identify if that certain person is your father or mother. So what they would basically do is they'll get your blood, then they'll get your father's blood, and then your mother's blood, and then they'll perform this DNA profiling to confirm the paternity. So that DNA trace looks like an extra film like this here. So they look something like this. So you'll definitely find a question of DNA profiling with this structure in the exam, right? So this pattern consists of line which are different length and thickness, and in position has shown in the figure 8. All individual except identical twins have unique DNA profile. Okay, the function of DNA profile, because in life science everything has a function. So yeah, let's look for the functions of DNA profile. So the main one is to identify crime suspects or to identify criminals, in simple words, then prove paternity and maternity. Right, then determine the probability or causes of genetic defects, like to identify if a certain disease is caused by genetics or not, to establish the compatibility of tissue types for organ transplant. For example, if you want to donate an organ to somebody, then you have to perform a DNA test to check whether your DNA matches with the other person, and to identify relatives. So I suggest out of all this, you memorize only 4. So let me give you the easiest one: to identify criminals, then to prove paternity and maternity, then I might say identify relatives and identify the compatibility of tissue types for organ transplant. So yeah, you can memorize 4 of them for your exam. All right, so the next thing we are going to discuss is the disadvantage of DNA profiling. Yes guys, even your DNA report might have some errors in it. Okay, like it's not always the case, but yeah, once in a while it does happen. So DNA profiling is generally accepted as being extremely reliable. Yeah, it is reliable, but sometimes things happen. So the interpretation and comparison of a profile should, however, be approached with a caution for following reasons. So human interpret the results, which means mistakes could be made. Yeah. So in the lab, so in the labs, humans interpret the results, which might mean they can make a mistake. Then the method of profiling may be different in different laboratories producing. Okay, then a small piece of DNA is used in profiling, so the profile might not be 100% unique to a particular individual. So a small amount of DNA is used. So yeah, then DNA profiling is expensive and therefore not readily accessible to those who cannot afford it, particularly in criminal case. Alright, so for an example, if there is a rape case and the victim's family wants to do a DNA test to prove that that person committed that crime. But yeah, the process is expensive, so they might not afford it. Profile may reveal information about a person which could be used against them in a prejudicial way. For an example, being an HIV positive or having genetic abnormalities may lead to insurance company not covering a person or prejudice in a courtroom. Alright, so I think you need to memorize only 2 or 3 for your exams because you don't need to memorize all this. So you can simply memorize that humans interpret it, so mistakes could be made. Then you can memorize this. They are done different in laboratories, so producing inconsistency. And then you could say that only a small amount of DNA is used, so it might not be 100% individuals. So you can choose whatever you like. I was just giving my opinion on it. All right. So yeah, here's the question which you can perform it. Yeah, so you can try to attempt it. So let me briefly explain it to you then. So this is the victim's tray. This is all right. First, let's read the question. DNA profiles from a crime scene. So this one is a crime scene. These are the 4 suspects. Okay. So in a fight involving a number of people, one person was seriously injured. Police took blood samples from the victim and the crime scene. Okay, so this is a crime scene. This CSS is a crime scene, and the 4 suspects. These are the 4 suspects, and the DNA was then extracted from each sample. So the results of this test are shown in the diagram above. So which suspect probably injured the victim? Okay. So how do you identify it? Thus is the hardest part. Okay. So let's just go through it. All right. So this one is the victim tray, and this one is the suspect tray. So how do you identify it? Do you see the gap between these two? Is it the same between these two? No. Is it the same with this two? No. Is it the same with this two? No. But it's the same with this two. So yeah. But then here we have 2 trays left. Here we also have 2 trays left. Then here, yes. Here, yes. Here, yes. But then how do we identify it if we have so many similarities? So if you could see here, this and this tray, they kind of look the same. Do you see? Like, not exactly, but so they look the same. So the answer here would be suspect 2. Then give a reason for the answer. So you can say that the trays on the victim and the trays on the suspect 2, they are the same or they matches. Then list one application of DNA profiling other than solving crime, identifying paternity, maternity, relatives, then genetic disorders. So yeah, that's it. Then give 2 reasons why DNA profiling may sometimes be challenged. So they're interpreted by humans, so they make difference, and they are done differently in every other laboratories. So it might cause inconsistency. You can say that. Then all right. So for number 1, let me just explain again. As you can see, this and this, they kind of look the same out of all this tree. So you can say that this 2 matches. Okay.